Hello friends, it's me, Backspace. Welcome back to another video. I have so many mixed feelings about today's video, I just don't even know where to start. So this is supposed to be an Inktober update, but I did a terrible job at Inktober this week. So essentially there is one picture for me to show you today. I did one illustration all week. The prompts for this week were just kind of they just weren't inspiring me, and I had a really busy week at home. I spent a lot of time creating, like painting and carving pumpkins and stuff like that, but just not so much time, doing my Inktober like I should have. So what we have today, so let's start with the prompt list for these past 7 days. So days 15 through 21. The prompts were legend, wild, ornament, misfit, sling, tread, and treasure. So right away, I wanted to throw ornament out of there because all that makes me think of is Christmas, and I just can't handle anything Christmas right now. I did that snow globe last week, and that's really about all I can handle. Every store I've been to lately, there's just Christmas stuff everywhere, and it's not even Halloween yet, so I just can't even. So my first idea for these prompts, since I was really just kind of uninspired each day by the daily prompt, I thought, well, what if I do an illustration to kind of bring them all together, do something like that. So I started playing around with ideas of like Dracula in a sling, decorating Christmas tree, just, trying to get everything all together, and nothing was really working out for me. So I try to take a different approach and just pick out the prompts from those 7, from this week that really spoke to me and make something from that. So legend really spoke to me, right? And it makes me think of like the urban legend and the ghost stories and things that you would like tell around campfire, which also makes me think of wild. Every time I thought of wild, I would think of like the woods and camping and being out in the woods and wild, creepy, spooky things in the woods, right? Treasure to me I always think of books, because to me books are treasures and stories are treasures, and those are kinds of things are treasures, like stories and books and fairy tales and whimsical kinds of things. Those to me are treasures. And the other word that really stood out to me this week was misfit. I feel a lot like a misfit myself because I try and celebrate Halloween all year round. Like, I'm a fairly spooky kind of person. Technically, really, I don't think I'm that spooky, but other people tell me I'm pretty spooky, so it is what it is. So I kind of identified with that. So I thought, well, let me do something that I feel like embodies me and the things that I like, that speaks to treasures and the wild, legends, campfires, urban legends, things like that. And so I thought of, when you're sitting around a campfire and you're telling spooky stories, which is one of my favorite things. I love ghosty stories so much. You always have the person who's telling the story and has the flashlight up against their face, so they're lit from underneath, and it's so creepy and spooky looking, because you're not used to seeing those kinds of shadows on a person. You're used to people being lit from above, and so when they have the flashlight and they're lit from the bottom, it just gives that really spooky, creepy effect while they're telling these ghost stories. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to do a portrait of someone being lit from below as they tell their urgent legend, out in the wild, this treasure of a story, and maybe they're the misfit of the group, because I've definitely done this lots of times and my friends think I'm super weird because of it, but it is what it is. So when I decided I wanted to do this portrait, I love like portraits. I don't really like doing like character design or cartoony things, but I love doing portraits. But I really wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone, because I'm comfortable doing portraits and drawing people and faces in graphite and using pencils, but not so much with pen. But I wanted to push it just one step farther. I really wanted to get the values and the tones in there. So I thought, I'm going to do this illustration entirely with my Tombow markers in just various shades of gray. So I had started out, just kind of outlining different things and starting with the lightest color, and I quickly realized I wasn't able to see the contrast the way I needed to develop the values correctly. So I went in and did all the darkest values first with the black and put that in there, and then gradually started getting towards the lighter values. I'm glad that I went through with the lightest color first, though, because I was able to kind of outline like where the brightest highlights were with that before I went in with all the darker values. But I just, kept going in darker and darker. Well, like I went in with the black, and then my next couple shades of gray were a little too dark, like they blended in just a little too much with the black. So I went in with kind of a mid-tone gray and did kind of like my mid-tones a little bit. I jump around a lot. My reference picture, I don't think I did a super great job getting it to look like my reference photo, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. It really pushed me to do something that I was not comfortable with. So I'm going through and I tried to layer up that very lightest color to see if I could get some mid-tone with that, and it really just started kind of eating up the paper. So I'm going back with one of those darker grays to kind of get some of the mid-tones that I saw, going around where the highlights are and doing all the other shading. But it was a process, and it was interesting, thinking in different values. It was so different because I'm used to doing, with graphite, I do my outline and I gradually darken things up, and I can go in with an eraser at the end and add in, all my highlights or things like that. And even when I'm using a pen, I can go in with a white gel pen when I'm done and add highlights that way. And, when I paint, I just go in and do everything fairly dark. I can add highlights later. It's not something I really have to think about. But with using the markers, I really had to be mindful of leaving the highlights where they need to go and going with the darker values and gradually darkening things up where I needed to. So it was definitely an interesting experience. The eyes got kind of wonky. I didn't realize till like halfway through that they were kind of pointing in entirely different directions. But I think it kind of adds to that spooky MISFIT kind of vibe that I was going for. So I'm not like super happy with how it turned out. Like, I don't think it's one of my best works at all, but I'm very pleased with, I think it went a lot better than it could have. So all things considered, it could have been a lot worse. And I had a lot of fun. It was interesting. It really pushed me to do something different. And I think I might try something similar to this in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I upload new videos every Monday and Thursday. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.